Okay, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Supermac, Malcolm MacDonald. Newcastle United 1, Fulham 0 in the Malcolm MacDonald derby. And wow, on Question of Sport in a couple of years' time, they'll say what happened next with Mitrovic's penalty, I'm sure, Malcolm.
Yeah, I've only ever seen one penalty that was similar to that, but the touch was the other way around. What actually happened, I don't know whether you've seen the replays, but he's actually struck it with his right foot, and then his left foot, the standing foot, has slipped, and it's caught the ball. Now, the angle that I saw it from directly behind the penalty was that Pope had read it all day long. And so if it didn't get that second touch, Pope would have saved it easy. But as it so happens, that second touch sent it, and it was a most peculiar sort of lob up in the air and down into the net. And the referee was quite right to award the free kick. He could not have let that stand. He would have been a laughing stock in the game of football and refereeing for the rest of his life. It was overall a really hard-fought game, I thought. Really hard-fought. Fulham, I thought, played absolutely terrifically to come up here playing that way. But again, that back line, it's held firm. And well done them. And also, Isak, he's come on, and I think he changed the game in that last 15 minutes. He was showing a lot of skill out there, a lot of pace, and I've heard a lot of people up at the ground, I've heard a lot of people today saying, oh, Wilson and Isak, they're not suited, they can't play together. I think they're wrong. I think they are suited. Wilson, happy to play with his back to goal, and Isak wants to be facing goal all the time. He's prepared to play from the left, he's prepared to play from the right, and I think that he and Wilson will really link up well. As the goal showed, it looked as if Wilson had it going all day long, but no, but for once, somebody was making that run into the 6-yard box, and it was easy. So yeah, I thought the win was, I thought it was well deserved by Newcastle, to be honest. Overall, but also I have to say, what about William? What a player! He's well into his 30s, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant today. He really was. Showed great pace, great skill, fabulous player.
Going to ask you about the injury to Bruno. I'm all for players saying that they can run it off and play on, but I think a lot of people are asking after the game there, should Eddie Howe took him off a little bit earlier, because the rumours and the noise coming from the press office tonight is that he's going to go for a scan. He was in tears when he came back out at half time. Craig Hope's reporting it in the Daily Mail today that Eddie Howe said in his press conference, when a player comes out and says he thinks it's bad, that 9 times out of 10 it is bad. So we could be without Bruno for a while.
I think we could be without him for quite some time, because I'm under the impression that he's got a cracked ankle bone. Yeah. So that could be anything from 8 to 12 weeks, which is sort of getting pretty close to the end of the season. So it's a great shame, because he's been absolutely terrific as Bruno for us, and he'll be a very, very sad loss. But isn't it irony? We just get Isak back, and then Bruno's out. Oh dear me! What a sucker punch that turns out to be. Yeah, and I'm sorry that we're going to lose Bruno for that period of time, and it just makes you wonder now, does it slightly alter the thinking of Eddie Howe with regards to the remaining time in the transfer market.
But to be fair, we mentioned this before the game. Eddie Howe, in the last 3 press conferences, when asked about the transfer window, has said we're monitoring it week by week because we don't know what will happen with the injuries, suspensions, etc. This has really got to push Newcastle now to potentially look at bringing in at least another big name player in this window.
Yes, quite possibly. When Willock and Longstaff, they've done pretty well, but I don't think that they are capable of keeping that midfield tight and together on their own. That Bruno was a very, very effective defensive central midfield player. Despite the fact that he got forward, he nevertheless was always prepared to do the defensive job in midfield. And I think he's going to be a very sad miss. I can't see that there's anybody in the club who can come in and fill his position. And so I don't think he's is defensively minded enough for it. Joe Linton possibly, but again, I'm still not sure that he's defensively conscious. He's prepared to get back, I grant you that. So yes, quite possibly, but it would be a shame to lose what Joe Linton has been giving that bit further up the field. It's a sad and a sad one is that with Bruno, but these are things that you have to overcome, and it lets everybody know just what problems a football manager has to go through.
We always talk about ASM. What did you make of his contribution today? Came on, he's had 45 minutes. Did he improve in your mind today? Was there anything? And I know what you're going to say. How many goals did he score? How many goals did he set up? But was there any signs of life in ASM for you today, Mark?
No, he reminded me more of The Walking Dead, Steve.
You don't like him?
It's not a question of liking him, but I really don't think that he does anything that is going to help Newcastle win games. And that's what football is about. He runs the ball all over the place, he takes players on, but then he'd rather turn back round, disappear up his own arsehole, and go and beat them all over again. So, I'm not going to say what my lines are of criticism against him, but what did he achieve for Newcastle United today?
He got with 3 points.
0 for me.
He got with 3 points. Who would? How about the man?
He's not going to answer, and I'm not going to ask him about Chris Wood.
No.
Although he did do well when he came on.
He won a throw-in.
Exactly. Just saying that for you, Chris. Okay, Newcastle, of course, now focused, on these semi-finals coming up as well. Bruno might be a big blow. We don't know the extent of these injuries, so we're only speculating. Eddie Howe will be pleased though. He's gone back into 3rd place on goal difference. I mean, how does he keep this momentum going? I mean, just keep on doing what he's doing, or trying to bring in that player.
No, I think that what you have to do, you can't bring in that fear into the side. Somebody's going to be replaced at any time. If that were to happen, so be it. But you concentrate very much on the players that are there and fit, and who are going out in your next game, and in the next games over the rest of the month. And it is a hugely important month, is this, for Newcastle. I would love to see them get to the League Cup final. I don't see why they can't, and I don't see why they can't win it. But what it needs is if he doesn't purchase somebody to come in that Bruno position, then a lot of work on the training ground is required. A lot of work. and figuring out just how the best way to cover for Bruno is. I'm looking forward to seeing it because I think there's a lot of imagination with Howe and his cohorts, and so I think they will find a solution. It might not be the prettiest, but it will be an effective solution.
Okay, you got your prediction right, 1-0. I went for 2-1. Your man of the match, mine was Joe Linton. Who was yours?
Now, as it so happens, after all that's happened to him this week, I've got to give him praise and credit because he went out there and he did really, really well. But in all honesty, you know, I thought the back line was absolutely terrific today. Shah was out of this world. Shah was terrific. Botman not far behind. And again, think about it. How many saves did Nick Pope have to make? No, he didn't have a shot to save. You know, it's remarkable, a remarkable achievement for a back line to have. When was the last time Pope was called on to actually make a save? Can anybody remember?
I think he's going to retire.
Yeah. So, personally, I would give it to Shah. I thought he was absolutely terrific today, and he bossed that back line, kept him organised, and my man Shah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure for me to share the stage with Malcolm. Put your hands together for a living legend, Supermac! Malcolm is in pre-match and post-match all of the games this season, so make sure you get in to see him.
Thanks, everybody.
What the fuck's that Kelsey looking? What the fuck is that?
Never be double.